it was just this roar. The noise was deafening.
When they say the sound of a freight train, it was that loud.
It was roaring just like a freight train, and it was incredibly loud.
We have extensive damage.
It looks like somebody, the place exploded.
I've never seen anything like this.
It was the longest 15 minutes of my life.
It was really intense.
Every vehicle in our fleet was damaged.
The hail came very quickly, very fast.
My whole yard exploded.
Trampoline flew over 2 houses in a street.
You just never think it's going to really happen until it does.
This is not what you expect here in Michigan, is a tornado in February.
Welcome to When Minutes Matter, a Storm Tracker 12 severe weather special. I'm Chief Meteorologist J.R. Kurtek, and it was here at Bicentennial Park in Grand Blanc Township during the wee hours of February 28th that a tornado touched down. For a February night, we had very rare conditions leading up to the storm, all thanks to our El Nino winter. A strong cold front moving in from the west, barreling into mid-Michigan after a couple of days of near record high temperatures. I knew thunderstorms were likely and that some could be quite strong. In fact, during the 11 o'clock newscast, a supercell thunderstorm had prompted a couple of tornado warnings in the Battle Creek area. Eventually, at 1:12 in the morning, that same supercell thunderstorm produced a tornado that touched down here at Bicentennial Park. It hit a child's play area, took this pavilion, threw it into the pond, and it continued to move quickly to the east-northeast toward Dort Highway.
The Grand Blanc tornado increased rapidly as it moved through several subdivisions. The worst damage right here at Dort Highway and Reed Road at this industrial complex with winds topping 115 miles per hour. Take a look at the damage behind me, still visible months later. The roof and siding were stripped from this warehouse that housed 3 different suppliers. Thank goodness workers were sent home just 2 hours before the tornado ripped through. Several transmission poles and lines snapped in the area, shutting down Dort Highway for days. After wreaking havoc at this site, the tornado moved towards downtown Grand Blanc.
After skipping over the downtown Grand Blanc area, the tornado touched down in the Indian Hills subdivision. Several trees were brought down across the subdivision, including multiple trees in the front of the neighborhood. Some of them fell onto homes along Old Bridge Road and Stony Brook Drive, taking out roofs and fences. A large gas main was broken as well, sending residents out of their homes in the middle of the night.
Ultimately, as the tornado continued moving east, it weakened after causing extensive damage in the Grand Blanc area. Eventually, it lifted at 1:22 in the morning in a field here near Perry Road in Atlas Township. Some debris stayed in the air for miles, though. Some even landed as far east as Lapeer County.
The EF2 tornado was only on the ground for 10 minutes, but during that time traveled a total of 5.7 miles through Grand Blanc. Officials say winds reached a peak of 115 miles per hour, and the tornado stretched to a width of 450 yards.
So what do we mean by EF2? Well, that refers to the Enhanced Fujita scale, which has been in use since 2007. It assigns tornadoes a rating based on estimated wind speeds and related damage. The classification reflects the tornado's potential at its strongest point. It may not represent its intensity over the entire path. Here in Michigan, we rarely see tornadoes above EF3. But in 2022, that's exactly what Gaylord experienced. Damage consistent with an EF3 tornado. The estimated 115 mile per hour winds in Grand Blanc classified that tornado as an EF2. EF2 tornadoes are capable of considerable damage to well-built structures. Roofs can be torn off and siding could be damaged or even ripped off. Large trees can be snapped or totally uprooted. Some vehicles could even be pushed off roads or flipped. And wooden power poles can snap, causing power outages.
The damage done by the Grand Blanc tornado is truly impressive. But what's even more amazing is that no one was hurt or killed. Research has shown that tornadoes that occur at night result in more than twice as likely the fatalities. That's due to several factors, the first being reduced visibility. Also, people are less likely to be monitoring the weather. There's also a lower warning response. Reduced visibility at night makes it difficult to see that severe weather is happening. And of course, people may be sleeping and could not be aware that severe weather is even possible.
The Grand Blanc tornado was one of two to touch down in Michigan during this late February storm. Another touchdown in Calhoun County in Battle Creek. So just how rare is it to get tornadoes during the winter? For starters, they're so rare because we normally don't get a clash of warm and cold air over the Great Lakes. It's also rare to get the kind of wind shear and convective energy needed to produce them. In fact, just 9 tornadoes have ever been reported during December, January, and February since 1950, when record keeping began. Those months make up what we call climatological winter in Michigan. However, with the 2 reported this past February, that brings the total to 7. As you can see, we ramp things up very quickly during the spring and summer months. We normally see the highest number of tornadoes between late spring and summer before the numbers retreat heading into fall.
Tornadoes are not the only kind of severe weather we can get in mid-Michigan. Last summer's major hailstorm that hit Davison reminds us it's just as much of a threat. We'll explain how hailstorms can form coming up.
I visited the Detroit National Weather Service in White Lake. Coming up, we're talking about how warnings are issued.
Have you taken advantage of Wallside's 80 months, no interest, and half off every window? It's unheard of. It's unforgettable. This exclusive offer won't last. Call now before it's gone. Call 1-800-521-7800.
Chemco. Discount Pool Supplies. We have the best prices in town. On sale now, 3-inch chlorine tablets. Liquid chlorine 2. Above ground pools. Get the lowest prices anywhere. Also save on Hayward above ground and in-ground pool pumps. Even pool heaters. Or save energy and buy a solar cover. Cartridge filters for hot tubs and pools. Only at Chemco. Door Highway, Burton.
Save big money with these hot deals in Menards. All prices after 11% rebate. Natural wood mulch is just $169. Status indoor-outdoor carpet is only 49 cents a square foot. 10-inch premium hanging baskets are just $9.99. And all Burpee seeds are on sale. Plus 11% rebate. These hot deals won't last long. Hurry in before time runs out. Sign up for Menards emails to get more hot deals. Plus the weekly flyer right to your inbox.
Save big money at Menards.
Strong, durable, and engineered to save you money. Steel roofs are fast and easy to install for any motivated do-it-yourselfer. Come into Mid-Michigan Metal Sales and find the design that fits your style and your budget.
Save big on burnished slate Hardy rib panels. Only 85 cents a square foot. Call or log on to midmichiganmetalsales.com for more info.
Ask your contractor for Mid-Michigan Metal and save. Mid-Michigan Metal Sales, manufacturing quality steel roofing for the masses.
It's Wallside Windows' unheard of offer. 80 months, no interest, and half off every window. Unforgettable because it will never run again. Call now before it's gone. 1-800-521-7800.
Welcome back. Grand Blanc isn't the only mid-Michigan community that's been affected by tornadoes in recent years. On August 11th, just last year, a supercell thunderstorm produced a tornado over Perry in Shiawassee County. It was an EF1. Maximum wind gusts hit 95 miles per hour as the twister moved through town. It was on the ground for 12 minutes and crossed I-69 at one point. Trees were uprooted and sheared, and there was some damage to outbuildings.
All of a sudden, debris is flying, trees are falling, branches are going everywhere. I remember the windows getting hit a lot.
Our friend's house, their trees fell on their house and their whole yard is ruined also. They're all doing theirs right now. They're gonna come to our house after, and everyone's just coming together.
The Davison community was also impacted by severe weather, but not a tornado. Last July, a hailstorm tore through roofs and siding and shattered windshields. The forecast for July 20th called for the potential of scattered to numerous severe thunderstorms. The Storm Prediction Center specifically highlighted a risk for very large hail. Around 3 that afternoon, a supercell thunderstorm became severe, producing baseball-sized hail over Davison. That's 2.75 inches in diameter. Widespread and costly damage to vehicles and homes resulted from this significant hailstorm. The recovery process has taken months. Baseball-sized hail is rather rare across the ABC 12 viewing area. It has only happened 7 times in our area since 2000. So how does a storm produce such large hail like we saw in Davison? There must be an abundance of supercooled water droplets within the cloud. This means the droplets are in liquid form despite their temperature being below freezing. These water droplets freeze on contact with ice nuclei, such as dust or other ice particles. They can even freeze on contact with other small hailstones that exist. They grow larger as more droplets collide and instantly freeze together. The upper regions of a thunderstorm cloud must be below freezing in order to support these growing chunks of ice, which means the thunderstorm needs to be very tall, mature, and strong. We know when a thunderstorm will have the potential to become strong to severe when we have plenty of moisture, lift, instability, and shear in the atmosphere. As the hail grows in size, it will eventually become too heavy to remain in the cloud and will fall to the ground. The longer it stays in the cloud, the larger it will grow. And how do we know how long the hailstones will stay in the cloud? It has to do with the strength of the winds in a thunderstorm updraft. Strong upward racing winds will keep the hail aloft longer than weaker winds. As a result, very strong updrafts are essential for keeping the hailstones in the cold cloud longer and allowing them to grow larger.
The same storm that produced the Grand Blanc tornado also set a record further to the west. Hail of 2.4 inches in diameter was reported near Battle Creek. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Storm Events Database, that's the largest hailstone the state of Michigan has ever seen in the month of February, dating back to 1950. There have only been 7 other reports of severe hail in Michigan during February. Severe hail is classified as 1 inch in diameter or larger.
Large hail, tornadoes, damaging winds, these are all threats that can occur in severe thunderstorms. That's why warnings are issued to help keep you safe. I visited the Detroit National Weather Service and learned how warnings are issued, what a day is like at their office, and even helped to collect weather data.
Anytime you spend time outside, you're increasing your vulnerability to the weather.
It would be tough to find someone who doesn't check the weather before heading out, especially when there's a chance for severe weather. Like your Storm Tracker 12 weather team, there is at least 1, if not 2 or 3, meteorologists at the Detroit National Weather Service office 24/7, 365, keeping an eye on things.
We do work the rotating shift. You work days, evenings, and midnight, so that's a very unique aspect of kind of how we operate.
They talk with the outgoing shift and, like us, look at current conditions and forecast models.
Satellites, radar, the observations that are taken at our airports, out on the Great Lakes. We look at what's going on currently in the atmosphere. We assess where we're at now, and then we kind of project forward using some of our weather models for the next 24 hours out into 7 days.
Every day around 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., they launch a weather balloon with a radio sonde, the weather data sensor that goes up with the balloon. Detroit is one of select weather offices in the country that can release the balloon with a button click. So it was a real treat for us, or maybe just me, to manually release the balloon. As the balloon rises, it collects and relays back upper air data until it pops and the biodegradable system falls back to the ground. The data collected is an invaluable tool for forecasting, like radar.
The tower behind me with the golf ball-shaped dome on top is the radome. It lets us see snow, rain, and storms. And seeing that radar helps the National Weather Service determine whether or not a warning needs to be issued.
We place a little trackball on a storm. We make sure we have a good storm track on it, and then we create the polygon, and then we click on a few boxes that show us, do we want 60-mile-an-hour winds? Do we want 80-mile-an-hour winds? Quarter-size hail, baseball-size hail.
This program lets the NWS issue a warning in less than a minute. Weather spotters also play a critical role in the warning process.
They are providing us that ground truth because we can look at the radar, we can know the environment the storms are in, but we don't know what's physically happening in everyone's backyard.
Every spring, the NWS offers the Weather Spotter trainings. This can be a way to learn about weather and calm fears if you're someone who gets anxious about storms.
Familiarize yourself with what severe weather is, how you can take actions if you are in a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning.
When that warning is issued, you get the alert on your phone, radio, or from us. From the Detroit NWS to the Storm Tracker 12 team, being prepared for severe weather can bring you comfort and keep you safe.
The National Weather Service uses it, and you've also seen it lots of times on ABC 12 News. It's also on your phone through our weather app, on ABC 12. It's radar, Doppler radar specifically, but have you ever wondered just how does it work? Radar is a beam of energy directed at a target. When it strikes objects in the sky, energy is rebounded back. The larger the object, the more energy is returned. So we can see things like raindrops. Distance is determined by the time it takes for the energy to bounce back to the radar site. The different colors you see determines how heavy the rain is. Newer radars, called dual pole, send out energy signals both horizontally and vertically. This allows us to see severe weather better, like tornadoes. The twist of a developing tornado, or one that is on the ground, can be seen by different modes of the radar. Storm relative velocity, or SRV, can see motion of rain or other objects moving either toward or away from the radar site. Green is toward the radar and red is away. When they meet, it means spin or a tight twist, often indicating a tornado is forming. Correlation coefficient is another way to confirm a tornado that's on the ground. This radar mode can spot debris circulating in a tight ball. A companion to radar is our lightning tracker. By looking at the increase or decrease in strikes, we can tell if the storm is strengthening or getting weaker. By using these different radar products, the Storm Tracker 12 weather team can help keep you safe when severe weather strikes.
Your Storm Tracker 12 weather team is always on hand when severe weather strikes. Coming up, Angie Hendershot and I will discuss the weather situation leading up to Grand Blanc's tornado that February night.
This is the pizza the other guys wish they could make. Keep dreaming. Jets. Better, because it has to be.
All new Kenwood Motorcycle Audio. Custom sound for Harley. Now at Duke's. Everything you need for rockin' sound. Every time you ride. Kenwood Custom for Harley. At any Duke's. Or check it out online.
Life can be hard. With Culligan, your water doesn't have to be.
Obamacare is a disaster. We want to terminate it.
That would mean over 100 million Americans will lose protections for pre-existing conditions.
President Biden has protected the Affordable Care Act and lowered healthcare costs for millions by $800 a year. Now, he'll make those savings permanent.
Healthcare should be a basic right. Folks, he's coming for your healthcare, and we're not going to let it happen. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Customers come from all over Michigan to get the Alcera buying experience. Alcera makes all the difference where the difference matters. For convenience, the lowest prices, and an incredible selection of top car brands all in one location, nobody does it better. Explore your payment options before you get to the store. It's a total time saver. Just you, your vehicle of choice, and the payment that you get to choose. You live the lifestyle you love, so choose the car buying experience that fits you. With the selection you want, the payment you decide, and the team that makes it easy each step of the way. Experience the Alcera Auto Plaza today. One destination, so many more choices.
This is the Detroit-style pizza of your dreams. Now, with 3 kinds of pepperoni. Get the Triple-Roni Pizza for $15.99. Jets. Better, because it has to be.
We are going to flip the script now and talk to Chief Meteorologist J.R. Kurtek about that February night in Grand Blanc. All right, first of all, JR, I remember at the end of the show you saying, I'll be here, I'll keep an eye on things. I mean, you knew that the situation was one that you had to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that was by 11 p.m. And actually by 11 p.m. we already had some thunderstorms moving into southwestern lower Michigan. But over the previous couple of days, the whole weather system was producing thunderstorms off to our west. And as the whole system was moving toward us, we got progressively warmer. You might remember high temperatures that day, up at around 80 degrees across mid-Michigan. And with a cold front moving in from the west, the warmth was there. Our moisture was increasing, the humidity was getting higher, and with the storms forming at the same time a cold front was moving in, yeah, there was a pretty good chance that we were going to see some activity. And again, by 11 p.m. with storms already forming over southwestern lower Michigan, it looked like it could be an active night.
And it was going to be south of us, but things can always turn.
Well, it did start off to our south and west. Outside of Marshall in Calhoun County, there was a tornado warning that had been issued not too long after the 11 p.m. newscast. And then that storm, a supercell thunderstorm, continued to track east-northeastward, made its way into mid-Michigan, and shortly after 1 a.m. then it produced another tornado, and yeah, we saw its effects. Pretty impressive, especially for February night.
And talk a little bit about that. How unusual is something like this in February?
So they're very rare for sure. But while the date on the calendar was rare, the conditions leading to the development of the storms were kind of clinical textbook type of situation, with that cold front bearing down in on us after we touched 80 degrees for the afternoon. Behind that front, we saw that the temperatures were some 40 degrees cooler. Very, very impressive. And again, while the date on the calendar wasn't one we typically expect to see any severe weather, the weather conditions leading to the tornado were fairly typical.
Talk a little bit about what goes through your mind. I mean, you're our chief meteorologist. You're kind of in charge in the middle of the night as you're warning people. What's going through your mind, and how is this personally for you to go through something like this?
Yeah, especially, having been here for 30 years and learning the area and knowing the community, knowing people everywhere, you see where this is going, and it just, your heart kind of goes, boy, especially when we saw that it was headed right through Grand Blanc, and on into a highly populated area.
You live in Grand Blanc.
We have friends, we have colleagues, we have pastors of our churches, the guys in the donut store in the middle of the night who are doing what they do. Yeah, it's kind of scary in that regard. You try to put that aside, but at the same time, knowing the area, when something does touch down like that, you can say, hey, listen, this started near Bicentennial Park. People get that. And
you knew the landmarks, you knew how to let people know.
Right. And so hopefully, that does enough, but at the same time, word for your friends. Yeah.
What did you learn that night, even after all your years?
That it's very important to be aware of what's happening 24 hours a day. We harp on it. Make sure that you can get those warnings at night when you're sleeping. We can say it over and over and over again, and hopefully this really gets people to the point where they will heed that. So next time, if something like this occurs again, it isn't luck. We're all prepared, and everyone does get to their safe spot, and no one gets hurt.
And things can move pretty quickly and turn pretty quickly. Like we said, it was a little bit south, it just changed a bit. Like, things change course when things are happening that fast.
Things can change very, very quickly. Fortunately, the storm that moved through that night was pretty consistent in its movement from the southwest to the east-northeast. And so, when you're tracking a storm like that, you can stay ahead of it. You can really, dig in on where it's going to be going next, and who should be taking precautions at that time. But there are times where not only the storm could shift direction, but we can have multiple things going on at the same time. This storm also produced a 2.5-inch hail off to our south and west as it moved in. Again, just another indicator of how intense these storms were as they moved into mid-Michigan. But from minute to minute, we could go from large hail to just strong straight line winds to a tornado that would be on the ground for 9 minutes and 6.1 miles and produce 115 mile an hour wind.
We'll be tracking plenty of impactful weather for you throughout the warm weather season, including the wildfire potential here in mid-Michigan. We've already had several red flag warnings and fire weather warnings issued.
We'll also be keeping a close eye on rainfall across the region and how the growing season progresses. And it looks like the El Niño that brought us our mild winter will be replaced by a La Niña. We will be tracking the impacts that will have on our summer.
And of course, we'll be tracking Great Lakes water levels all summer long. Right now, levels are close to the historical average, just 4 years after we had record high waters. Looking at Lake Michigan and Huron, which is measured as one giant body of water, levels are about 5 inches below where they were last year at this time, and about 3 inches above the long-term average.
Severe weather preparedness is crucial to keep you and your family safe. Here are some key steps to prepare your home. Create an emergency plan. Identify those safe places in your home and run practice drills with your family. Build an emergency kit. Include essentials that can last several days, such as water and non-perishable food items, flashlights and batteries, a first aid kit, and a NOAA weather radio. And don't forget solar chargers or extra batteries for your phone. Be sure to secure your home too. Reinforce your windows and doors. Don't forget to review your homeowner's or renter's insurance to understand what is and isn't covered if damage is done. And of course, stay informed with your Storm Tracker 12 weather team and get a NOAA weather radio.
Our team works together to bring you complete coverage on air and online anytime a storm hits mid-Michigan. But you can also find the tools we use to keep ahead of the storm right in your pocket. You can download our free Storm Tracker 12 weather app from your app store by scanning the QR code that you see right now on your screen. It includes an hour-by-hour forecast, future radar, projected storm tracks, hail, and lightning detection. It'll also show you where rotating thunderstorms are located. You can even get push alerts sent to your phone when severe weather is developing near you, no matter where you are.
We hope you and your family will take some lessons from the experiences we've learned by covering these storms. That way, when the next severe weather event occurs, you'll be able to take swift action to keep you and your family safe, because minutes matter. Remember, the Storm Tracker 12 weather team will be here during all severe weather events.
Storm Tracker 12, your safest place in bad weather.